Hey everybody, Season 5, Episode 6 of the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
For the Sports Collector.
I'm Jason Otero.
I'm Gary LeMaster.
And we're glad to have you with us. It's been a good week. We already did the 1,000 follower giveaway on TikTok.
Which crept up on us real fast.
Yeah.
Like you said in that video, like we weren't expecting that to happen in about 24 hours. Yeah. So that was cool. So if you got, we should have shipped that out already.
It's already out. Yep.
When you get that, give us a shout. Let us know you got it. If you pull something cool out of it, let us know that too.
Yeah, Jamie C. Cards is who won
Yep,
that. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
Next giveaway will be at 5,000. So let's keep those.
And we'll have other
keep
stuff
those
sprinkled
tracking.
in.
It'll be a little bit bigger giveaway at 5,000.
Yeah, say at some point we're gonna have to get into some hobby product. You know?
Yeah, probably.
Not licensed. I mean, we're not we're not rich.
Sage.
Yeah.
Sage Aspire.
Yeah. I'm thinking,
You're going to get 12 autographs of guys who will never play past college.
I still see a few blasters of Gallery floating around out there.
Yeah, occasionally you can
the clearance
find it.
mark down at Walmart. We'll figure something else out. If I look like crap to you, it's because I feel like it.
I wanted a plexiglass divider.
Yeah.
I like, remember during like the height of COVID, you go to the casino and it was like plexiglass dividers between every seat. I wanted that for this. Because when you get sick, I tend to get sick and vice versa. It's usually not good.
Well, somebody's going to clip that up and have a good time with it. But I spent a whole day outside when it was nice, and Mother Nature's like, time to get sick, dude. This is what you get. You don't want it to be freezing?
Well, we had fake spring. If you're from the Midwest, you understand what fake spring is. It's where Mother Nature says, maybe. Nah, just kidding.
Nope.
No, you have a 3-day window of 65, 70 degrees, and then 36.
I was just out on the deck like, I love it here. And it's like, well, enjoy it, because you're going to be leaking out of your nose
for it soon.
Yeah. All right. So if you hear me sniffle all the way through this, I'm sorry. Nothing I can do about it, but we have to bring you content because this is the Ball Card Show, the sports podcast.
Oh, yeah, we did that once already. But, yeah, it's for the Sports Collector.
I know,
too.
but it's our catchphrase. So whenever it happens, you got to
just do it.
Yeah.
It's like OH.
It's like, we bring the boom. You know what I'm talking about that? You're too old for that. You don't know
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, now we're just rambling on. Let's jump into a little bit of hobby news. Not a ton to talk about on the news front, but there was a cool variation of the Logo Man that was announced. It's going to be released. You sent me a link to the article on it. I think it's pretty sweet. So basically a patch that's worn. It's like gold and black, right?
Yeah, it's the MLB logo.
And it's for award winners
for the 6
season.
major award winners for the season. They're going to wear it, and they're going to go into one of one.
So these awards are, break them down.
MVPs, Cy Youngs, Rookies of the Year.
Yep. So now you have like a way to chase a little bit more. You know, if you're in the 5-figure range but not 6-figure, you might be able to get some of these, you know?
Yeah.
They're going to be big cards.
Yeah. I mean, I think the worst one of the bunch will be Luis Gil. Yeah. That'll be the cheapest one.
Yeah.
But still, it's going to be really cool. And my guess is there will be 2 versions of each one of these. There will be an auto version and a non-auto version. And if they want to get real feisty, they might make 3 versions of each, a horizontal, or 4, 2 horizontals and 2 verticals, auto, non-auto.
Yeah.
Still going to be really cool cards in their game used Logo Mans, which for all the things that Fanatics is doing where I kind of go, they are doing some really cool things.
That's what I was going to say is patches kind of, unless it was a super high-end product that like didn't mean much. And even on some of those higher-end products over the last few years with Panini, there's some stuff in there. It's like not from a specific game or event. And
AKA from Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yeah, you put a 4-color chunky patch in that means nothing to me, and I spent $1,500 on a box? Yeah. What are you doing?
$1,500. I mean, NT has some of that, and it's a $10,000 box.
It's crazy. So I think it's a good thing. It'll be cool to see some of those pop.
Yep.
I still stand by what we talked about last week, where it would be awesome if they sprinkled these throughout different baseball products, rather than just like this is the one that's going to cost you a lot more. So are they saying Chrome update for the same?
They haven't said what product these are going to be in. They just
they'll have to be
announced
winners at that point. So it's got to be later in the.
Well, they're from last year's winners.
Oh, that's right. Yep,
so it'll be from last year's winners, and then going forward, it'll be from the previous year's winners. Yeah.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah,
but I think
cool card.
I think it's a net positive for them on that.
Sure.
We haven't heard any rumblings of any updates from the legal issues between Panini and Fanatics.
Might take months.
Yeah,
or
it's
years.
going to be a while for them to respond because those attorneys have to figure out how to make as much money as possible.
As I say, how do we bill as many hours as we can here?
Yeah, time is how they get paid.
Yep.
So that'll be happening with that. here in just a little bit, we're going to run a segment that over the years has been pretty popular where we're breaking down MLB players to take a look at that might be a good buy, that might be a great investment. We're calling it On the Verge. So these guys are right on the verge, on the cusp of a breakout year. Definitely people to watch. Some that have been working through the minors for a little bit and some that don't even have licensed product yet. So that's coming up in just a minute. But before we do that, I wanted to kind of talk about something that I've been noticing a lot more in the hobby, in like different Facebook groups. But this word scammer seems to get dropped a whole lot in the hobby. And it's for good reason. There's a lot of scammers in the hobby.
Yeah,
there's
for sure.
a lot of people taking advantage of people. But there's also a lot of idiots buying cards. Is that a fair way to say that?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people who have unrealistic expectations of what a transaction that is taking place on a social media platform outside of a standard retail environment looks like.
Well, and I'd go beyond even just social media platforms. Like last week, I was accused of scamming somebody. And this is a pretty elaborate scam. They purchased 2 cards on my eBay store totaling $4.90.
Yeah, big spender.
Tracking shows that they made it all the way to Gastonia, North Carolina. And somehow I found a way to send it there, leave it at that post office, go pick it up, collect money from them, refund them, and somehow I'm scamming them.
Yeah.
So scamming isn't necessarily scamming anymore. It's
sometimes people just get in their feelings and they assume that they're just going to throw that word around. And sometimes that word gets thrown around as a form of like leverage or blackmail.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, it's a good idea for us to kind of break down what's a scam, what's just bad business, and what's you as a buyer needing to get out of your feelings.
Yep.
And then how to avoid actual scams. I will say, and knock on wood, because it can happen to anybody, but I've been doing this for a very long time, and I have never been scammed.
You've experienced a lot of bad business.
Yes, I've experienced bad business, but I've never had a situation where I gave someone money and I didn't get the card or didn't get the money, right? I've never had that happen. And I think mostly, I don't know how else to say it than this, it's because I'm not a moron.
Well, that helps. There are smart people that get scammed too, though.
There are, but the smart people who get scammed tend to be people whose greed gets in the way of their common sense. So first things,
some would argue like some of these issues that were happening with these, man, my brain is so shot because these large group submissions where people were basically just handing off the grading fees to somebody else. Those are people that were intelligent. They trusted a process, and it ended up not being on the up and up.
Well, so there's a difference between a direct scam and an indirect scam. Like what you're describing is a situation where somebody misrepresented something.
Yeah.
And because of the reputation of the person who did the misrepresenting, the people thought that everything was fine. Yeah. Now, the situation you're talking about, we're not going to drop any names.
No.
It was made right.
Yep.
It was a pain, but that person made it right because they got taken advantage of too.
Yep.
So I guess first things first. If you don't want to get scammed, a few simple things to keep in mind. One, first and foremost, if the deal looks way too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah.
If you think you're buying a $10,000 card for $500, it's a scam.
Mm-hmm.
Plain and simple, it's a scam. Second thing, and again, this is one that's going to maybe bother some people, but it's better safe than sorry. If you're messaging with somebody on Facebook or Instagram or wherever else, and they don't seem to have a grasp of the English language, pretty good chance that's a scam. If they don't want to send you a coined picture of a card, it's probably a scam. If they do send you a coined picture of the card and the month is written before the day and they didn't tell you that they're from over the pond, it's probably a scam.
Yeah.
If the card that they write the coin on looks way too big or way too small compared to the picture of the card, or the lighting is different or whatever else, that's been photoshopped. Like,
well, that's one that a lot of people allow. Like, there was I mean, I think Facebook is probably the worst spot for this without protection.
It is.
But there were a lot of places and groups where it was required that you must coin even when you were presenting a picture of a card to sell to somebody. Nowadays, a lot of these groups, they'll post a photo and say, I can coin later if interested, which I get it. I buy stuff too. It may be on the way in, and I'll let them know, hey, I think I have something you want. It doesn't arrive for a couple days. I'll be sure to coin it when it gets here. But you have a lot of people that do that, and so what they'll do is they'll just kind of Photoshop the date and this and that, and I'm just like, cool. When you have the card in hand, please coin that.
Yeah, and if you really are concerned, ask for a video. Ask for a video coin.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something that's condition sensitive, ask for a video. Like if you're buying a downtown.
Let's back it up just a little bit because I think based off of some of the feedback we've had on TikTok, there are some newer collectors that are asking kind of some one-on-one questions. And I'd remind you that you don't get to see our beautiful faces, but we have 4 other seasons of a lot of one-on-one stuff walking through this. So hop on Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts. We have stuff on grading, how to get the most out of low-end sales, buying, sourcing, all that kind of stuff. But let's back up just a little bit in case you don't know what it is. When we say coin, what we mean is we're asking somebody to write down their name and the date that they are sending the picture and set it next to the card so that we know that this is something that they have in hand. They actually have the card, and they're not sending you a picture from somewhere else. Is it foolproof? No. Are there ways to cheat it? No. But for the most part, it's like understood to be a way of verifying that they have the card in hand, they are the owner of the card, and it's them not contractually obligating themselves, but basically saying, this is mine, and I'm selling it to you. Is that a good way of explaining it?
Yeah, it's just a way to prove possession, and there are plenty of people out there who will try to fake that, and it's fairly obvious if you spend any time online at all and you look at digital pictures. If lighting doesn't look right on the coin versus the card, if the card looks like it's kind of in shadows and the coin is real bright, it's photoshopped.
There's a lot of ways for you to be kind of scammed with this. And at this point, we're just kind of rambling a list, but I think they're important. Another one would be if someone is showing you the cards they have for sale. I pay attention to what's in the background.
Yeah, if it's a bunch of different ones.
Because if you see 1 or 2 different backgrounds and then there's 10 other cards that are all the same, like I'll ask them, hey, just curious, is that an older photo? One that I purchased this week, I'll give an example. It ended up being on the up and up, but I wanted to make sure because I got that weird feeling about it.
Yep.
I put out a buying post, hey, I'm buying this and that, which that could be a whole nother conversation of how that goes down a lot of times.
Right.
But a card I was interested in was the Derrick Henry Donruss rated rookie. It was an IP auto. It was in a Beckett Authentic 10 grade on the autographed, okay? So not a licensed Derrick Henry auto rookie that's pack pulled, but it is an authentic one. And I saw a lot of comps around that 225 to 250 range, but IP autos, as I'm buying for inventory, can sit a little while. They're not super. Now, sometimes you find somebody that likes IP autos and don't care that's just their PC. They're going to, like, when that happens, they'll probably snap by it. But it's something that can sit a little while. So I put in an offer that was like 50 to 60% of asking. And they immediately said, you know what? Yeah, I'll do that. And I just gave them my rationale for it. Like, hey, pack pull does a lot more than this and that. And they're like, yep, no problem. Well, now I'm I'm on edge. Like,
no
this
pushback.
Is a liquid player that's in demand. It's a rookie autograph. Even though it's IP, it's still something that, people probably aren't just going to give away. And this guy's working a deal with me on the first offer I had. So I said, cool, can you coin the card for me? Yep, no problem. I'll get it out today. I'll ship it right now. Like things that I don't normally hear.
Right.
And little did I know this guy's just offering great customer service. And then finally I was like, can I see more pictures of the slab? I just want to make sure there's no scuffs or things. I'm trying to figure out what would be the reason that you would take an offer at that point. And sometimes it's just they got in a card right and they're moving it, right?
And they just need the cash.
Right. So he makes a video at that point showing everything. This is somebody that understood what was happening. This guy's feeling a little bit uneasy. So after he shows the video, I said, awesome, looks great. I'm ready to send payment. Just to confirm, this is the shipping that we're going to do. You're going to send me tracking right away. I'm going to pay goods and services fee, which that is a protected purchase on PayPal. If something goes awry, you have ways to make claims, potentially get that money back. Okay. If you do friends and family, you're SOL. There's nothing they can do for you. But it was just kind of a reminder to me seeing all those scams that are going on. And like, ask a few more questions. Be a little bit more persistent. Be annoying. Because honestly, you may find that seller that I'm probably going to shoot that guy a message once a month and see what he has going on, if he has anything for sale, because he showed that level of service. What are some other scams that you see in the hobby other than just not having the card or not sending the card?
Well, the biggest one is people are going to try. There's a ton of, and this is probably going down a little bit more of a rabbit hole than you want to. There's a ton of Nigerian scammers, and they work in these like scamming farms. What's sad about it is a lot of these people are not there voluntarily. There's been several investigative journalist things that have come out in the last year where these people are being brought into the country with promises of a certain job, and they get picked up at the airport and they get taken to a facility, and they're now a prisoner. They can't leave until XYZ has happened. So it's a sad situation that you hate to hear, but it doesn't justify what they're doing. But they will get you to send friends and family, or even goods and services. A lot of these people will take. If the goods and services, the PayPal address that you're given has nothing whatsoever to do with the name of the person that you are buying from, that should be a red flag. And if you get enough red flags in a deal, just walk away from it.
And be honest.
Yes. Hey, I'm not comfortable with this transaction. You have a nice day. Good luck with your sale. And then walk away.
Now, you've had that happen several times.
Oh, that happens all the time.
While he hasn't been scammed, there's been attempts. And I would say this, that's awful. I wasn't even aware of these scamming farms. But I've been scammed by a lot of non-Nigerian people.
Oh, yeah.
Just to be clear. Like,
no, for sure.
And
but
it's usually a Brad or Chad that starts out with bruh.
Yeah. Well, and
my guy.
The other one is, somebody will get you to send them friends and family. A lot of times it's because it's a small dollar amount and you're thinking, it's only $50, whatever. Nobody's going to risk their reputation over $50. And then 3 or 4 days go by and they haven't sent you tracking. And you're like, hey, what's going on with this? If the first thing you get is a litany of, my wife's been in the hospital, or if that's what starts happening, you just got scammed.
Yeah.
Period. You just got scammed. Another one, and this is one that really pisses people off when I say it in groups when people talk about this stuff, but it's just the facts. If you look at a profile picture and that profile picture looks like maybe they smoked all the meth, you just don't want to do the deal. I'm sorry. You just don't.
I never knew you to be such a profiler, but here we are today.
When it comes to stuff like this, like I'm not saying causation.
It sounds like it.
I'm saying there's a high correlation. It just is what it is. When you look at a profile picture and you're like, oh, I probably wouldn't have a beer with that person. You get any of the other red flags at all?
Yeah.
Just walk. It just ain't worth it.
Well, a way that you can sift through that a little further is you can search their name in the group. So if you're in like the Facebook group, you search their name. Look to see how long they've been in the group. So if look to see what other deals they've done. Their comments they should still be pinned in there. You should be able to find them. Is this somebody that's been in this group and 3 other groups for 1 month? I'm probably holding off.
Yeah. Well, and there's also a couple of pages on Facebook that are dedicated to tracking scams.
Yeah.
Sports Card Scammer Tracker is probably the biggest one.
Hey, and by the way, great page to just read coffee, and drink your coffee.
If it's your morning constitutional time, and you need a half an hour, it's great reads.
Yeah.
This
week was popping off.
You can go in and you can search a person's name there, and if it comes up, now another thing to keep in mind, and this is the flip side of this. While there are plenty of scams out there, there are also people that like to throw around the term scammer when there's not even bad business. They're just an idiot.
Yeah.
And the thing that's really nice about this hobby is, for the most part, especially in Facebook, if you're active, it's a pretty tight-knit community.
Yeah.
Like, people get to know who you are. They get to know your reputation. And they're going to have your back if that happens. And you'll see people post something to scammers where they post something idiotic where they're the moron. There was one a couple weeks ago where a guy bought a card on eBay that went through authentication, but because the guy couldn't replicate the lighting from the eBay picture, he put the guy on scammers. Yeah. And it was like, bro, like it's literally the exact card with the exact cert.
Encapsulated.
Like, what are you talking about?
Well, I'll just do this. We don't do this a lot, but I'm going to fire shots. I respect Mike and Jesse, Sports Cards Nonsense. Honestly, I started listening to their pod as they rolled out, and I was like, I wonder if we should do a podcast, like just straight up. But that Facebook group of theirs is the most toxic thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's bad.
Uninformed people that have been in the hobby for 5 minutes that are sitting there telling you everything is a scam, everything is this. Don't you know how this works? How did I
yes,
not get,
I do know how this works.
50 posts a day about how is PSA ripping me off? I pulled it out of the pack 5 minutes before I sent it off, which has nothing to do with the grading condition.
Yeah. That kind of stuff. The stuff where people are like, eBay's just ripping me off. Did you not read what the fees were before you hit post? Toxic. Because it literally just says, we're going to charge you 13%.
There's idiots everywhere. I just happen to notice. And
there's a concentration of them
Mike
there.
has talked about this many times. He'd be okay if that group didn't exist anymore. It was on pause. Then it came back.
Well, it got suspended.
Well, because of how toxic it was.
It was bad.
But not everything's a scam. Examples of bad business that are not scams. Shipping late. It sucks. You don't ever have to do business with that person again. But that's not them scamming you just because they shipped it 4 or 5 days later than they said.
Non-payers in a claim sale is another one.
Yep.
Bad business, it's not a scam. It's bad, and it should be posted as bad business so other people who run claim sales can know to avoid that seller. If somebody has a history of doing that, I just block them so they can't see my sales because I don't want to deal with it. If you can't afford to buy something, don't say you're going to buy it because it screws over. I don't know if people know how much time it takes to run a proper claim sale.
Well, and to sort it.
Yeah,
remember when I was doing the like $5,001? Like that was a hustle for a minute.
Yeah.
Like that was going really well, but sorting it was crazy. And I just factored in 25% of my claims aren't going to get paid.
Yeah, which is
especially
asinine.
if people claim one card or whatever. Bad business. No harm, no foul. I have my card. You didn't pay me. I'm not going to tag you in them again. And if I see, I've had people try to claim in sales because I forgot to block them and say, hey, no, you're not in this sale. We had a bad experience. Wish you the best. Go buy somewhere else.
Another example of bad business. Claiming cards, and then after you've claimed them and taken them off the table for anybody else, trying to negotiate a lower price in DMs afterwards.
I need to see more
it's
photos.
It's a hard pass.
After,
yeah, it's a hard pass.
Yeah.
So, again, being scammed sucks. It can happen to anybody, but you can drastically reduce your chances of being scammed if you're not greedy and you just pay attention.
And more technically, PayPal goods and services is protected. Cash App does not protect you. Venmo does not protect you.
Venmo goods and services is okay.
It's okay. It's trickier. And now there is a caveat, and then we're starting to see this more. Oh boy, I don't want to. I'm a little.
Well, you already opened
the
the can, so let's go.
There are a lot of groups in the hobby that are gambling groups primarily. They are hobby centric, but it's people that love the thrill of hitting a lottery.
They take a lot of buybacks.
Yes. So a lot of these groups will run lines, but you get 80% of the card value as a buyback. And most of the guys doing this like all day long are less concerned about the card and more like, I'm putting $50 in, I might win $400 here or whatever.
Right.
In groups that are really heavily focused on that, I'm seeing more and more of them that say, we're just going to do a vouch list where you have to have 2 or 3 people that will vouch for you. That means if you do not pay, they are paying for you.
Yes.
So it is actually a checks
vouch.
and balance, but they do not allow for goods and service payments because if somebody's taking a buyback, so let's say...
Well, in lines, you can't.
Right. Well, I'm just trying to break it down because I don't think people understand it. Like, you're running a line of 10 at 50 and you could get $400 back off of that, right? If you don't want the card and you win it. Well, if you pay goods and services, you get paid $400. There's nothing stopping you as the winner from saying, this never shipped, and here's my record of money, and here's where it shows that I was the winner. And then the seller can get screwed.
It's the same reason I don't take PayPal at shows. unless it's somebody I've done a ton of business with, because my account on PayPal does not allow for friends and family payments. It is a business only
That's a good
account.
point. Yep.
And somebody could pay me $1,000 for a card, PayPal, and leave and go, well, this guy never shipped it. Where's the tracking?
Yep.
And they get their money back, and I'd be out the card and the money.
Yeah. So that's definitely something to watch. If people are giving you bad business, don't do business with them again. Even if they're apologetic, and please don't say anything this, that. When somebody starts begging like that, that means to me this isn't the first time they've done this.
Yeah.
Like they've been in it before, and I think some of that needs to get exposed. Now, is there a good chance that we are speaking to people mostly our age when we talk about this? The Facebook segment? Probably. I don't think that most of the younger whatnot buyers are working through these Facebook groups as often as we are, but it's a place that you need to be a little more careful with. I've heard a lot of talk about it this week, so thought.
Yeah, it was worth having a good conversation about. Hopefully you find that helpful. If you didn't find it helpful, then that was 15 minutes that you can just flush out of your life.
They've already turned it off.
Yeah, it's all good.
NFL draft.
Yeah, don't want to spend a ton of time here. We'll dive into it a lot more as it gets closer, but we're getting pretty close. We're less than a month out.
I'm
from
seeing
the
Mel
draft.
Kiper's hair a lot more on TV,
Oh,
so
yeah,
just keep it going, bud. His brain is just looking like Megamind. It just keeps.
So a few things you want to keep in mind as the NFL draft comes around, and you've got some collegiate uni stuff that you may have in hand, and knowing that pro uni stuff is going to be right around the corner here. First and foremost, and this is really important to hear, and you can disagree with me if you want to. A lot of people do on a lot of things.
Often.
There is not a quarterback in this draft that would have been taken ahead of any of the quarterbacks in last year's draft. That means the last quarterback taken, who was Bo Nix, is better than either one of the guys that people are talking about being top 5 picks this year. Cam Ward, I don't see it. Shedeur Sanders, if he gets to sit for 3 years, maybe I see it. Jackson Dart going in the first round is hilarious.
That's the new dark horse that they're.
And he's going to go in the first round. And then Jalen Milroe is getting late first round buzz. Also hilarious. We have a situation here where we're going to see 4 Kenny Pickett's get drafted.
Maybe you have a better answer for this, but typically how many quarterbacks go in the first round on an average season?
3.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get 5 or 6 occasionally, but yeah, 3 to 4. But the problem is that the league is so quarterback centric that people are going to just take risks and hope.
Yep.
Like if I'm either the Browns or the Giants or any of the teams in the top 4 or 5, and I need a quarterback really bad, I don't want any of these guys.
Pay for something you've seen.
But yeah, like go trade for Kirk Cousins or go after Sam Darnold or like laugh at me all you want. I'd rather have Gardner Minshew.
Well, we know you love Gardner Minshew.
I do love Gardner Minshew, but still, at least you know what you're getting there, and he can be a functional NFL quarterback if he's got enough around him. So I think that the best players in this draft are defensive players and then one running back. Genty is a monster. Very good chance that he is the main guy that people are going to chase. I know people always go after the quarterbacks.
Did he hit a 4.3?
No.
Pro?
He was like a 4.48.
4.48?
Yeah, he's not a burner. He's adequate speed. He's just impossible to tackle with one guy. He's literally impossible to tackle with one guy.
Who does he remind you of?
Oh, that's tough. Like a combination shiftiness of like work done combined with like the just at the point of attack power of like Natron Means.
Okay.
Not quite Jerome Bettis because Bettis was just a different animal. Like dude was 290 at the end of his career and still like just going. Well, maybe not 290, but he was thick. And so Genty has some shiftiness in the hole, but he's just impossible to bring down with one guy. I don't know that there's like a crazy comp. I heard people talking like during the season this year. I think it's just because of the yards. Barry Sanders, not the same type of running back at all.
I thought a little more of a Derrick Henry.
He doesn't have
that first point of contact is going to need another point of contact.
Derrick Henry is like a genetic freak that comes around once every 40 years. Like Derrick Henry's faster than Ashton Genty. And he's also 6'3", and he's also 260 pounds.
That's crazy.
Like he's a monster. Like he's just a physical anomaly. So the question is, where does Genty land? I think that the Raiders hope that he gets to them. I think that there's a decent chance the Cowboys try to grab him after letting Rico Dowdle walk, who had a sneaky good year last year. So it'll be interesting. If he goes to the Cowboys, it's going to be great for him for the hobby.
Yeah.
If he goes to the Raiders, not so much.
Right.
But
the quarterback class is underwhelming too at the very least.
Sell the quarterback Call of Duty stuff as fast as you possibly can. If you got somebody that's willing to pay hundreds of dollars for a Cam Ward auto, sell it. It's not going up. And once he gets on the field, it's going to go down.
So out of that quarterback class, who do you think has the most upside of the 4 that you mentioned?
The most upside, realistically, in my opinion, is Shedeur Sanders.
Just because of athleticism, period?
No, accuracy. Shedeur Sanders' ceiling is Drew Brees.
Well, that's not terrible.
That's the ceiling.
Yeah.
He's more of a pocket passer. He can move around in the pocket. People were like, oh, he's a scrambler. No, he's like a Steve Young scrambler. But he's a pocket passer who's really has strong accuracy, a good arm, not a great arm. Cam Ward is a really athletic dude who's super casual with the football, and some of the throws that he chooses to make, he got away with in college. He ain't getting away with in the NFL. His laissez-faire way of just kind of running around back there with the ball wagging all over the place. He's going to fumble the ball 20 times. It's going to be a very rude awakening for Cam Ward in the NFL, especially, God forbid, the Browns go full Browns and draft him number 2 overall.
One thing you can't count on is the Browns are going to go full.
They're going to go full Browns. If they take Cam Ward number 2 overall, it's going to be hilarious. You're going to talk about balls floating. He does not spin the ball. This has nothing to do with arm strength. This is more quarterback mechanical than anybody cares about but me.
Yeah, they're done with it. You're going too far.
He doesn't spin the ball
Still
enough to
talk
cut through
about
the
it,
wind.
though.
Yeah.
Got it.
Got it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like Brandon Whedon had a huge arm. He didn't spin the ball well.
Yeah. Spin the ball, guys.
Yep.
That's where. You want to talk baseball?
Yeah, let's talk baseball.
All right. This is the moment that Gary's been waiting for all year. I'm sure we'll do some more segments. Now, this is like, I would put this as like a passion of yours is prospecting.
Yeah.
So there's a good chance following this episode over the next couple months, we'll have some Gary exclusive content where he's just walking through different prospects to watch for, what products they're in. But this particular one we're going to go through 10 different players, and we're going to talk about players that we think are on the verge of having a breakout season. They're either going to get called up for their cup of coffee or play some decent playing time. Some of these guys are brand new. Some have been in the minors for a little while. But we're just going to give a breakdown of what we think there is to watch, where you might be able to get their product, and what we like or don't like about what we're seeing.
Yeah, and guys that I think when I was putting this list together are either going to break camp with the big league team or they're going to be up at some point this year for real playing time, not a September call-up.
Yeah. Up first, Blue Jays.
This is one I was super proud of because this is deep.
Yeah.
Like nobody really knows who this guy is.
Alan Roden. Now, the first thing I want to say about Alan Roden with the Blue Jays is this. When I watch his swing, I'm taken back to the early mid-'90s.
He's hitting down to the ball to hit it up.
Let me talk.
Sorry.
You're going to have 5 of these too, but it'll take an hour if you do this. I promise you're going to get to talk. I promise. But he reminds me of that kind of at the verge of the steroid era where everybody had a unique swing, and he swings like just a straight slugger. Like his windup, how he gets it, like everything is so tuned in now with like the different software that's used on swings that analyze it, launch angle, this and that. This dude just swings the bat. And what's unique about it is typically guys like this kind of set themselves up for a pull hit, power hit. But if you watch this guy's clips, he can spray the ball, and he hits it hard. I think he had an exit velo. I saw 114 on a ball. Like
That's his
it's
max, yeah.
Yeah, he's touched that number. Now
his 90th percentile is like 98, which is
he's gonna get some serious looks, and maybe sooner than a lot of people are expecting. He's only in a Panini product 2022. Doesn't have any Bowman first cards out there yet. I don't know that he has a super high ceiling, but when you talk about a prospect that could move up very quickly and get that buzz, this is the guy.
I think he's the 4th outfielder coming out of camp.
I think he's probably capable of being a 20 home run guy.
Yeah, I see the same thing. I see 260, 250, 260, 20 home runs.
Which on a lot of rosters and on a lot of lineups, that's super valuable.
And that's a platoon guy.
Yeah. So I'm going to kick it to you now. We're going to have to do better on the next one of these, all right? Because I'm not doing this interruption game for the next 30 minutes. All right.
I get excited about this stuff. Next guy on the list, Baltimore Orioles. Orioles. He was a chase in 2023 Bowman Chrome. his stuff has gone down a little bit, which is insane to me. It just tells you how much of this hobby is hype driven. He's still only 20 years old, and that's Samuel Basayo. Now, part of the reason his stuff has dropped a little bit is because the Orioles have another catcher you may have heard of by the name of Adley Rutschman, who's one of the 2 or 3 best catchers in Major League Baseball. And so the question was, well, where does Samuel Basayo fit? He's a decent catcher. They've been playing him at first base a reasonable amount, and he's going to get looks at DH. He murders baseballs. Like, there's just no other way to say it. He just tears the cover off of baseballs. Not just a power hitter, though. He is a solid contact guy, like contact grade 45, 50 contact grade, like average to just below, tiny below average, with like 65 to 70 grade in-game power. So this is a kid that I don't think he breaks camp with the team. I think he starts the year in Norfolk in AAA, but I think by May he is getting a good look, especially if any of the guys like Jordan Westberg or Ryan Mountcastle have a little bit of a regression. I think that Basayo is next guy up. And
the Orioles really needed another bat, right?
Oh, their farm system's ridiculous. I mean, you're going to have Kobe Mayo up this year. Like, their farm system's insane. And they've got 2 or 3 other guys that nobody really knows about, like Mac Horvath and Creed Willems. They've got some guys.
Yeah.
So Samuel Basayo, you can pick up his stuff. 2023 Bowman Chrome base autos should be floating right around $100 to $110. Not a terrible buy for a guy who's on a team that's going to be in contention and is going to be up and part of that, in my opinion.
Yeah. This next one's really a guy that's fun to watch. Will Warren with the Yankees. He's a pitcher, and one of the things that you're going to see if you watch much of his film is, one, that ball isn't revealed until the last second. He keeps he keeps that ball behind him, which just puts the hitters at a huge disadvantage. Now, he's got a decent fastball, mid-90s, but he has pretty good command with his 4-seam. His 2-seam fastball is an area where there's a little bit of weakness. It seems to be something that, last year people were jumping on it. They could pick that up pretty quickly out of his hand. Righties were kind of smashing the ball on that 2-seam. So that needs a little work on command. It just doesn't seem to be controlled quite as well. But with Garrett Cole out of the rotation and some of the stuff this kid has, like, it is a really interesting and likely possibility. This guy he's in the race for being in the rotation. Now, the pitch that is most devastating, so he has an incredible changeup that really falls away hard, like it drops off. But because of that hidden delivery, you're guessing a little bit at the plate with it. So it's pretty special. But he has a sweeping curve that they have been able to find that he's had 3,200 RPMs on this. Now, when it comes to a sweeping curve, that's the highest in the MLB, period. Nobody else is throwing something like that with that much rotation. Not everybody throws a sweeping curve because it can look very similar to a hanging curveball. So there's a difference. Like, you have to really be good. But to be lethal with that pitch is unique. That spin rate is also 4th highest amongst all pitches in the league. So we look at a guy like Will Warren. This is a year where he's on the right team to have a come up. He's got the right stuff. What's the risk? He still has a little work to do on command because he can't be just throwing this off-speed stuff. If you throw a sweeping curve too many times, it's timed up and they're just going to start eating his lunch on that stuff. But I do think that he sees a lot of action. He sees an action for a team that gets a lot of hobby love already. And the type of strikeouts he's going to have are ones that make people look silly. And so I think that there'll be a lot of excitement around him. You can find him in 2023 Bowman Chrome, but I enjoyed watching him. Now, I'm going to say this, and it's always like, I always pick like an extreme example. His approach to pitching reminds me of Maddox. Okay. I'm not saying he's a Greg Maddox. I'm not saying he will be a Greg Maddox, anything like that. But you can see that he is very methodical with where he's wanting to place the ball. And he's not afraid to run something right across the zone to sweep away and catch that corner to try to paint as much as possible. It's going to be fun to watch him. Do I think he's going to have some bumps this year? Yes. But I also think he's going to be on the come up and make some really good hitters look silly.
Yeah. There's a lot of Andrew Abbott there.
Okay.
In my opinion, I'm really proud of you though. Like you went some pitching ninja stats. You got there.
I did it just for you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, good work. Next up, Christian Moore for the Angels. Christian Moore's going to break camp with the team, and I think he's probably their opening day third baseman. Drafted last year in the first round, I think he was number 8 overall. The kid just hits. He's a pretty good fielder. He's just one of these guys who has a good feel to hit, has good power, not great power, but he's a guy that, as a rookie, I don't think we're outside the realm of reality to see a 250, 260 batting average and 25-ish home runs and maybe a 340, 350 on base percentage. Just a really solid player. And the Angels are kind of building a little bit of an infield there. Now, they could also go full Angels, kind of like the Browns can go full Browns. We saw what they did with 2 of the best players in the last 50 years in baseball at the same time, which was absolutely nothing. But they're building a little something. Moore was drafted last year and is going to be up this year. Nolan Shamwell was drafted in 2023 and was up in 2023. Zach Neto was the same way. Zach Neto was drafted in 2022, was up in 2023 now. Christian Moore is drafted in 2024. Just absolutely destroyed every level of minor league baseball, and it should break camp as an opening day starter for the Angels this year. So that infield is very young and kind of set for the long term, but he's gonna be a guy that, and his stuff's actually a little undervalued in my opinion right now, just because of the fact he's going to get a full year. And when you get a full year as a young rookie hitter with a good feel to hit, you're going to have a pretty good opportunity to be in that rookie of the year conversation.
So do you go after the short printed stuff? Do you reach pretty far, or do you grab
I don't know that I go crazy. Like, if I'm going to go after any of his stuff, I'm probably looking at like True Blues.
Okay.
Or bases. I don't know that I'm going golds or oranges. I'm definitely not buying reds. Those are going to be silly.
Yeah, you're a believer at that point already.
Yeah, like you're not just a believer. You're like where I am with Sebastian Walcott. Like he's the next thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what we got with him. This next one I'm really excited to hear you talk about because he's one of my favorite guys on this list because he's just an old school.
I think you're going to like this and not like what I have to say.
Okay.
Possibly. But the next one up is with the Rays, Chandler Simpson. Now, he has products in 2022 Bowman draft. Watching him play, this guy creates chaos on the field. It reminds me of like when you watch Little League and somebody would hit the ball and then there was an overthrow to first base and you had a kid that could just run a lot like the Tasmanian devil, right? So here's kind of my breakdown. Now, he puts the ball in play a lot, and he steals a lot of bases. He stole 180 bases in the last 2 years of the minors. That's a lot of bases that he's taken. And his percentage of success on steals went up as he went up a level, which that high A to 2A is a leap.
Yes, it's the biggest leap in baseball.
And especially when we're talking catchers. Single A, you can have some guys who are like, I just want to play one more year.
Just or there's just like a 17 or 18-year-old kid that's just like spraying the ball. Yeah.
Yeah. So this guy, 180 steals in the last 2 years. He gets the ball in play. Is he going to be someone with a lot of power? No. Don't expect it. Don't look for it. Don't wait for it. Is he going to make a lot of acrobatic plays and be very exciting late in the game when it's a close game and you need small ball to get the job done? He's the guy. Now, there are comparisons that experts are making. Let me finish. This is not my words. As I'm reading, people are comparing his ceiling to Kenny Lofton. Easy. Everybody calm down. Everybody take a deep breath, all right? Kenny Lofton was special. He's a guy played at an elite level. What would we have, 10 to 15 home runs a year out of Kenny Lofton?
Yeah. Should be a Hall of Famer.
All this, a Hall of Famer. Now, that would be cool to see. The analogy that I found that made a little more sense to me was a Billy Hamilton. Do you remember him with the Reds?
Yeah. That's not even the one that I would make because I don't think there's – the only thing that they have in common is speed.
Okay.
I see – this is the comparison.
Miles Straw, like what are you?
No, we go back a little even further than that. I see Jim Edmonds without power.
Okay.
I see a close to 300 average. I see a 4 because the kid walks a lot. Mm-hmm. Like he walks a lot. He has a great batter's eye. I see a kid that's going to hit around 300. He's going to have close to a 400 on base percentage, and he's going to steal 70 bases, maybe more. on a regular basis. Like he's not afraid of it. He knows that's his game. Like you said, his game is to F with the other team. And he's a really good fielder too. Yeah. Like he can cover all of center field and part of left and part of right field too without any issue. So I think that he's up early, if not breaking camp with the team. And in that cavernous ballpark, you could see a whole lot of hits that would be singles for anybody else turn into doubles.
Yeah, he'll stretch out a lot of plays for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I was excited to hear you talk about him because he's one of my favorite guys on this list. He's just fun. Next up for the Braves, Drake Baldwin. Drake Baldwin is going to get a lot of opportunity this year to be the Braves catcher early on because Sean Murphy is hurt. And the other kid, Trump, is just not very good. So he's going to get an opportunity. There's a lot of people that I know in the industry who really, really like Drake Baldwin. That's why he's on this list, because he's getting an opportunity. Personally, I don't see it. Personally, I think he's a guy who's going to be a average defensive catcher and an average hitter. There's a little bit of pop there, but he's not hitting 30 home runs. He's also not hitting anywhere near 300. He's not going to lose you games behind the plate, but he's also not going to, throw everybody out. And he's not a great framer of the ball, which, isn't as big of a deal anymore. He's just a guy who's going to get an opportunity because there's hurt guys in front of him, and he did some things with the bat in the minors that got people excited, but that doesn't always translate. I don't see it, but he's on the list because you can buy his stuff, and he's going to get an opportunity, and I've been wrong before. Mm-hmm. But that's Drake. There's nothing about Drake Baldwin that jumps out to me and goes, oh, man. Like with Adley coming up, you were like, man, defensively he's a monster, and he's really good bat-to-ball skills. I just see a guy. I don't see much different than Bo Naylor. I really don't. And Bo Naylor's a okay major league catcher that hits about 200 and hits 10 home runs and is decent defensively.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is. I don't say anything major, but if you want a guy that you can get relatively cheap that's going to get an opportunity early in the year, you might have a window. So, yeah, Drake Baldwin.
The next one is one that will get called up this year.
Blast from the past.
We've probably talked about him 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
I think he's been on the list pretty consistently. But Maximo Acosta, 2021 Bowman draft. Chrome is his product. He was very expensive right out of the gate. Now, he was traded to the Marlins in 2024. Here's what I find most impressive. I'll start with that because I have a hard time when somebody is like presented as God's gift to baseball for 3 years in a row and they're still like on the cusp of struggling / called up. They're doing okay. They're consistent.
You just described Jason Dominguez.
I'm kind of like, for me. But in the last year, he went from a 21% strikeout rate in 2023 to 13%, which as you're climbing through the ranks, that's actually pretty significant, going from 20 to 13%. I know that maybe doesn't sound like a crazy stat, but 111 for 386, 23 doubles, 3 triples, 8 home runs, 58 RBIs, 26 stolen bases over 104 games played. This is somebody where you just, on film, I don't get too obsessed with him, but when you look at the numbers, you're like, he's producing things that teams need, and I can't see how he doesn't very soon get that call
and
up.
He's very good defensively.
Yeah, great defensive player. So is he cheap? He's cheaper than he was.
He's really cheap.
But on a bounce back, it's going to jump really quick for some people too. The people that have been sitting on his low number stuff that are upside down on that are probably going to want a very high premium. So if it's somebody that you're like, I think that he's maybe got a little more than what I'm saying, go buy him now. Because he gets a call up, it's going to get expensive really quick because of the prominence. What's it called whenever you have like an autograph that it has like the pictures and the documents and
the provenance?
Provenance, yes, around the name and how people were chasing him in the past. So
yeah, he's a kid that because of the team he got traded to is going to get an opportunity this year. But because of the team he got traded to, I don't know what the upside is long term. But there's always a bump when a guy gets called up. So
yeah, this year could be an exciting one for him.
Yeah,
for sure.
And you may have a window there too. Next up, this is a guy who gets lost in the Phillies world for some reason, and I don't know why. Gabriel Rincones, outfielder, he won't break camp with the team. I do think he is the next guy up if there's a long-term need. Somebody gets hurt, anything like that. 2022 Bowman draft, he was hurt for most of 2023. So he kind of fell off. And then last year he came back and was really good. Climbed to triple at the end of the year. Again, not flashy, but he does have power. I see 25 to 30 home run potential there. You're not going to get a massive batting average. He's not a switch hitter or anything crazy like that. And he could end up on the short side of a platoon. However, all the hype in that organization is Andrew Painter. All the hype in that organization is Aiden Miller. And Gabriel Rincones, other than Painter, who is going to be up fast, but everybody knows about, he's the closest guy. And I don't know about you guys, but my memory tells me for the last 5 years, the Phillies always have at least one outfielder get hurt for 3 months at a time. And so they're going to need him at some point this year. And he's a guy who's going to come in. I think he has a pretty high floor, which I always like in prospects. Like a lot of guys chase ceiling. I chase floor because it kind of guarantees where you're going to be at.
You got to be right about the floor, though.
You do have to be right about the floor.
The floor is probably this.
But the thing about chasing the floor with guys like this is when you look at a guy's swing. So this is a relatively tall guy. I think Rincones is 6'1". He doesn't have that big, long, loopy swing that a lot of tall guys do. Doesn't have a big leg kick. He doesn't have anything that makes you think he can't time up a pitch. Mm-hmm. A lot of times mechanically, when you're looking at some of these guys who launch massive exit velocities, you see these huge leg kicks and this big wind back and this big cock of the wrist as they get back to load. And you go, man, a big league pitcher can take advantage of that and mess with their timing. He's just pretty straight to the ball, pretty compact swing, and he's got a good feel for the barrel of the bat, which, again, for me, when I see guys who don't have excess movement in their swings and just kind of produce, I usually get pretty excited. Now, again, he's not going to hit 40 home runs. He's not going to hit 300. He's never going to win an MVP. He might end up on the bad side of a platoon, but he's going to be a big league player.
And the reason for excitement when you don't see those big dramatic swings is it is much easier to adapt mechanically when you have a framework to work with. If the problem is significant and you're talking about changing the swing, let's translate this to golf. Like if somebody changes their swing, it's like 2 years in golf before they figure that out.
Yeah.
So having a base that works. Now, this is the opposite of the Rodin kid. Like that's his swing, and you're not going to be able to do much with that.
Right.
You'll be able to help him, discipline some other things, picking up the ball, but that's not a swing that you can easily tweak.
No,
that
not
is the
at all.
swing.
Yep.
So, that's a good point with that. Speaking of really tall power hitters, I'm going to talk about Kevin Alcantara, 2021 Bowman. This guy's 6'6". He's got a tall frame, similar frame. Like he's probably a little taller than Ellie, isn't he? 6'6".
Yeah, Ellie's 6'5". He got his cup of coffee last year.
Yeah, he did get his cup of coffee. Now, since he's been in the big, now he's a power hitter. When he gets a hold of the ball, he gets sent.
We haven't done that.
I did. I said
you did?
It. Yeah,
you
you were
Kevin
worried about what
Alcantara?
you were going to say already.
I didn't hear you say Kevin Alcantara.
I did.
Okay.
I would bet you a lot of money.
Fair enough.
They all heard it, but
okay.
Do you want this one?
No, not at all.
Okay,
I just thought you missed his name. I just want to make sure they knew who we were talking about.
I definitely said it. But anyway, 6'6", tall frame, a lot of power. When he gets a hold of one, it goes a long way. It's a fun swing to watch. It is more of that loopy swing.
Yeah.
He's golfing the ball out of there. Now, everyone believes he's capable of being a 30 home run guy, maybe even a little bit more than that with the power they see. The problem is this. He chases everything. And if there's anything we've seen in the last 5 to 7 years of prospecting is it can be a dime a dozen at this point with somebody like this. They haven't developed the plate discipline yet, but they've hit some home runs that are towering and impressive. So this isn't I don't know. But this is the kind of guy that if they take off, they could be a 30 home run, 240 batting average guys with a bunch of RBIs. And that's somebody that the hobby's going to give a lot of love to because they hit home runs. You know who
Great
else
market.
is like that? Now, I'm not saying this is the same, but like it could have kind of that Pete Alonso effect. Hit the ball a long way, maybe not hitting for a ton of average. People love watching the home runs. I know you're not a huge Pete Alonso fan, but statistically, he might kind of fall more in line with what we see there. I could be wrong. If he gets some plate discipline, that'd be great, but we haven't seen more than 15 home runs in a year from him. So everybody's saying this is what he's capable of. This is what we're going to see. We just haven't seen it yet.
It's getting a lift on the ball. He hits the ball really hard. His 90th percentile EVs are over 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of them are line drives out on the ground. He is, like you said, that big looping swing. It's hard to get real uppercutty there, and he also doesn't. The old school guys, when you hear guys like, I love to hear Lance Berkman talk about hitting. I love to hear Alex Rodriguez talk about hitting. Those guys used to talk about, take the knob of the bat to the ball, and you're almost hitting down on the ball to hit up on the ball. Yep. You're hitting down. You want to feel like you're hitting down on the ball. You're not really. When you watch those guys swing, that's not what they're doing. But the new way of doing things is they'll kick the bat, really uppercut the ball, and just try to get as much loft on the ball as you can. And so when you see a guy with 90th percentile EVs over 100 miles an hour, the thought process is, man, if we can just get that ball elevated, just get 2 more degrees, 3 more degrees of elevation, there's where all those home runs are going to come. And like you said, could that happen? Yep. Will it?
I don't think it will.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong about this guy.
But I do think he breaks camp with the team.
That swing thought that you're talking about is massive right now. I can't remember the coach's name. He's an older white guy.
Yeah, Teacherman.
Yeah, Teacherman. Now, Aaron Judge gives this guy a lot of credit for changing that and focusing on launch angle. There's a caveat here. The assumption is plate discipline. The assumption is you know which pitch to turn on, because with that swing plane, if you are not right about that, you're going to be punished. So the more that they focus on launch angle, if the plate discipline doesn't grow with it, it's going to get worse actually than better.
Yeah.
You're creating a bigger loop, and pitching has progressed. I know Barry Bonds just disagreed with this, but the stuff we're seeing in pitching that was very special and unique. I don't know if it's because of the feedback pitchers are getting from just the different equipment they can use now, the statistics, rotation, like release points, all this stuff. I mean, they can measure the pressure that your fingertips are having on certain pitches. Because of that, I am not a believer, and maybe it's just my age, in this launch angle approach to swinging. If somebody has power and you can tee it up there, it's like setting your driver up at the right height, right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot that can go wrong when somebody doesn't have plate discipline, and that happens. This could be an Aquino situation. Like a lot of power, but if he can't hit the right stuff. So
he's playing in Japan.
Yeah. So anyway, I did like it. I will always want guys like this to be in the league and to get the call up. When he does get back up there, now he's not going to be in the lineup off the rip,
I
is he?
think he breaks camp with the team.
So if he breaks camp with the team, he could
probably
be a guy
a fourth outfielder, platoon guy.
My prediction on guys like this, that first month or two, they hit some jacks. Everybody goes nuts. Pitchers watch a lot of film. They figure out how to give him some way tougher stuff they reach at. He maybe has a little bit of a lull, but that's just my take. So I could see grab some stuff early on. You might have a quick flip, or it's hold a little longer. But pitching is going to adapt to somebody like that.
Yep.
And you'll probably see it. Now, late in the season, he may have that figured out and get really special. But that's usually how that goes with guys like
that's
this.
the game of baseball. It's so funny. People don't understand this about the game of baseball, but you just said it. Hitters will do something. Pitchers will adjust. Can the hitter adjust back?
Yep.
If the hitter can't adjust back, that's it.
He's done. It cracks me up how people that watch football don't understand that about baseball.
Yeah.
Because we literally will talk about, hey, this week with this matchup, they're probably going to run a contain to keep somebody trapped, and they're going to have to completely. So football, everybody gets it. With baseball, they just think it's like a linear.
He just threw the ball. Got to hit it.
Like we're playing a video game. Like they just got what they got. But there's a lot more going on with that.
Yep.
Never mind. I was going to reference Trevor Bauer, but I don't even want to head down that road.
Let's not head down that path right now. That's its own documentary.
All right. I'll let you finish this up. Number 10.
Last guy. For this week.
If you're still with us, you love baseball, and we love you.
Yes, and we love you. This guy is, in my opinion, the opposite of what you just talked about. Another towering big kid. Bryce Eldridge for the San Francisco Giants.
If you didn't say the name, I was going to let you have it.
I know, I was coming. Bryce Eldridge, drafted in 2023 out of high school. 6'6", going to play first base. They thought maybe he could play outfield. He's going to play first base. Beautiful swing. Just an effortless, power-filled swing. Long follow through. It's not violent. He swings the bat and you're like you watch certain golf swings and you're like, how did that ball just go 350 yards? Yep. Like you watch Bryson and you're like, oh yeah, that ball's going 400 yards. Yeah. But you watch Colin Morikawa and you're like, how did that ball just go 350 yards? That kind of a swing. This is a kid who did not get any hype last year, and I did not understand. The very end of the year, people started to catch on. This kid went from low A to triple A at 19 years old.
That's crazy. Yeah.
He went from a low A to triple A at 19 years old. Then he went out to the Arizona Fall League and played really well there. He's going to make a major league debut at 20 years old this year, and he's going to hit a lot of home runs, and he's going to be really, really good. He's an average defender, but he plays first base. Who cares? Yeah. This is all about the bat. There is 40 home run power.
Is he expensive already?
He ain't cheap now. Yeah. He ain't cheap, but I think there's still upside. Yeah. I sold an orange SGC 9.5 for like $400.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so non-auto. That's a non-auto. Yeah. But there's still upside there. He's gonna, unless he gets hurt, something weird happens. He's gonna be the first baseman in that team for a good long while. And there's a lot to really, really like about what you can see out of it. Good feel for the bat. He's never going to hit 300, but he's also not going to hit 220. He's going to be 250 to 260 guy who has 40 home run potential upside. I think 28 to 30 is like the low end of what we see from him. Yep. And go watch the swing. It's just really
pretty.
It's just nice. Yeah. It's just nice to watch. Man.
Freddie Couples is the golfer that's like that.
Oh, yeah.
The contact is super pure. You're like, how he's not even swinging.
Yeah, how did that happen?
Spot on.
And that's how Eldridge is. He again, I can't reiterate enough. Low A to triple A in 1 year. When Jackson Churio went from low A to double A in 1 year, people lost their minds.
At a young age especially. At a young age.
At 19 years old, the same. They lost their minds. Eldridge went from there to triple A last year. And he may start the year at triple A this year, but he ain't going to be there long.
Conversation for another time, but I do feel like programs are pushing the pace a little bit more when somebody's rising than they were a few years ago.
Yeah, there are certain teams
especially with
that
arms.
Really do.
Yeah.
Well, I think the reason with arms is they know there's limited bullets with a lot of these guys.
Because
like TJ's coming because these spin rates are being so. That's why Skeens is such an outlier. Skeens don't spin the ball on high-speed stuff. He's throwing darts.
Yeah.
They're just 102 miles an hour wherever he wants them to go. Good luck.
These guys targeting that high spin rate, though, there's a higher probability of injury.
So yeah, they're overpronated. When you do this with your wrist, tell me what you feel with your elbow.
Gary's played a lot of baseball, so yeah, they're putting themselves in a bad spot. But the ball's moving.
Yep,
the ball is moving.
Yep.
So, one thing before we finish up today, what was the date that we gave for? We mentioned that we're going to do this. We do have our first date that we're going to be doing our Whatnot show. This is something that'll be a regular thing. If you want to come hang out with us, we'll be doing multi-sport, sudden death auctions. We'd love for you to come chat, hang out. We'll be there together.
April 24th is the first show. It's going to be Thursday night. We will have the time for you as soon as we have it nailed down. But we already are set up on Whatnot. So go pre-follow us. We will get that date and time in there so you can bookmark the show. We would love. It would be so great. We would be thankful to you guys forever. If you buy on Whatnot, if we could get to 1,000 followers and 1,000 bookmarks before we run this first show, that'd be
really something
fantastic.
Yeah.
And we're going to bring you some really cool stuff. There's going to be some really good steals. Everything's going to start at $1. It's going to be sudden death. And we'll have some really good giveaways. All that kind of stuff.
We'll have some pretty special buy it now stuff available too. That's pretty unique. But if you've been following our story, like this is the next step towards the brick and mortar. Having this online established community presence is so essential, and to launch into brick and mortar without having this component would be really risky for a lot of card shop owners.
Yep.
So we feel like this is like a natural next step for us. So we'll see how that goes, but we're excited for it. I hope you can come hang out.
Should be fun.
Follow, subscribe, whatever it's called. Bookmark it. April 24th, we will
and
be
like
there.
and subscribe here on YouTube.
That's right.
Yep.
Thank you for continued support. This has been the Ball Card Show, the Sports Ball.
For the Sports Collector.
Bye now.
Peace.